I was scrolling through Instagram when I noticed something odd. My best friend had posted a photo from a luxury hotel with the caption, "Weekend getaway at the plaza." But that same night she had texted me saying she was tired and staying in. I didn't think much of it at first. Social media is curated, everyone knows that. But the more I looked, the more inconsistencies I found. When I finally decided to surprise her at her apartment, I discovered a truth so devastating, it shattered everything I thought I knew about her. Her apartment building was locked when I arrived. I buzzed up, but she didn't answer. I waited outside in the cold for 20 minutes watching people come and go. When she finally emerged from the building, she looked panicked to see me. She was wearing the same clothes from yesterday, and her hair was disheveled in a way I'd never seen before. "Hey," she said, forcing a smile. "What are you doing here?" "I wanted to surprise you," I said. "Let's go inside. I want to see your new place." She hesitated. "Actually, I can't right now. I'm heading out." That's when I noticed her carrying a small backpack and a plastic bag of belongings. My stomach dropped. Something was very wrong. "Tanya, what's going on?" I asked. She avoided my eyes. "Nothing. I have somewhere to be." I didn't let it go. I insisted on talking. We sat on a bench outside her building, and that's when the facade started to crack. Through tears, she finally told me the truth. She wasn't living in that apartment anymore. She hadn't been for 6 months. She was homeless. 6 months. 6 months of perfect Instagram photos from coffee shops and parks. 6 months of carefully curated captions about her cozy home and her amazing life. 6 months of lying to everyone who cared about her, and I was her best friend. I should have known. Looking back now, all the signs were there. She always wanted to meet at public places, coffee shops, restaurants, never at her apartment. She was always evasive about her living situation. When I'd asked to come over, she'd have excuses. She'd talk about renovations and staying with a friend temporarily. She was performing a life for Instagram that she wasn't actually living. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked, my voice breaking. "Because I couldn't bear to see the pity in your eyes," she said. "Because everyone on Instagram has their perfect life, and I didn't want to be the one who failed. Because if I posted about being homeless, if I admitted it to myself and to everyone else, it would be real. And I wasn't ready for it to be real." I felt a mixture of emotions. Sadness for what she was going through. Anger that she hadn't trusted me. Confusion about how this had happened. Tanya had always seemed to have her life together. She had a good job, or so I thought. She had money, or so she claimed. How had she become homeless without anyone knowing? She started opening up, telling me the real story behind the Instagram facade. She lost her job 8 months ago. She'd been evicted from her apartment when she couldn't pay rent. She'd been too ashamed to tell anyone. So instead of facing reality, she'd created a fictional version of her life on social media. Before we continue, we would like to thank all of you who support us by subscribing, liking, and sharing our content. The only appreciation we ask of you is that you subscribe, like, and share this video if you are not yet one of our subscribers. Thank you. She'd been sleeping in her car at night and spending her days at coffee shops, libraries, and parks, performing normalcy for the camera. She'd wake up at 4 a.m. to shower at a gym she'd paid for with her credit card. She'd spend hours editing photos in the library, making it look like she was living a glamorous life, when the reality was that she was living in a Honda Civic. The most heartbreaking part was realizing that I'd been part of the problem. Every time she'd posted, I'd double-tapped. Every story she'd shared of her amazing life, I'd commented with heart emojis. I'd been complicit in her isolation, engaging with the lie instead of seeing the person behind it who was suffering. "How long were you going to keep this up?" I asked. "I don't know," she said. "Forever, maybe. Until I couldn't anymore." And the moment she couldn't anymore was now. She'd finally broken down and admitted the truth. But how many more people were out there, living double lives on Instagram? How many people were we missing because we were too busy looking at their filtered, edited, carefully constructed versions of reality? I couldn't let her keep living in her car. That night I drove her to my apartment and told her she could stay as long as she needed. She protested, said she didn't want to burden me, but I wasn't having it. She was my best friend. I was going to be there for her whether she wanted me to be or not. As she settled into my guest room, I asked her to do something. I asked her to stop posting on Instagram, just for a while. She resisted at first, saying that stopping would be like admitting defeat, but eventually she agreed. And that's when something remarkable happened. Without the pressure to perform perfection, she started to heal. We spent evenings talking about what had really been going on. She told me about the shame she felt, not just about being homeless, but about the lies she'd told. She talked about the anxiety of maintaining the facade, of checking her follower count obsessively, of editing photos until they looked perfect. She spoke about the crushing weight of trying to appear successful when everything was falling apart. She also talked about the industry of Instagram itself, how the algorithm rewards certain content and punishes others, how influencers are paid to present false versions of reality, how society has created this expectation that our lives should be perfectly curated and constantly documented. She'd been trying to meet an impossible standard, and it had destroyed her. During her second week at my apartment, we did something therapeutic. We looked through her Instagram together. She showed me all the posts that were lies, the cozy coffee date she'd taken from the bathroom of a Starbucks, the sunset hike she'd done at a public park, where she was actually just trying to find a place to charge her phone, the date night that was actually her eating dollar menu food in her car. Before we continue, we would like to thank all of you who support us by subscribing, liking, and sharing our content. The only appreciation we ask of you is that you subscribe, like, and share this video if you are not yet one of our subscribers. Thank you. Then, she made a decision that surprised me. She went through her entire Instagram feed and deleted nearly 2 years of posts. She was erasing the lie. She was choosing authenticity over performance. The responses she got were telling. Some people unfollowed her immediately, probably disappointed that she wasn't posting perfect content anymore. Others reached out asking if something was wrong, if she was okay. A few people, just a few, shared their own struggles. They told her about their own hidden pain, their own fabricated lives on social media. They thanked her for being honest about hers. She eventually posted a photo of herself, makeup-free and real, with a caption that said, "I've spent the last 6 months lying to you all. I posted pictures of a life I wasn't living while I was actually homeless. I'm telling you this now because shame thrives in silence, and I'm done being silent." The post didn't go viral. It didn't get thousands of likes, but it did something more important. It gave people permission to be real. It gave people permission to struggle without performing. Tanya eventually found a job. It wasn't glamorous, but it was honest work. She saved money and eventually got her own apartment. But the woman who came out the other side of homelessness was different from the one who went in. She was more authentic, more vulnerable, more real. I learned something profound through this experience. I learned that the people we think we know best can be harboring secrets we never imagined. I learned that social media is a tool that can isolate us just as easily as it connects us. And I learned that sometimes the most important thing we can do for our friends is not to help them maintain their facade. It's to help them break it down. The saddest part of this story is how common it is. There are millions of people living double lives on Instagram. There are people sleeping in cars and posting sunset photos. There are people facing eviction and sharing pictures of their dream apartment. There are people struggling with mental illness while their Instagram feeds scream happiness and success. What happened with Tanya changed how I use social media. I'm more careful about what I engage with. I'm more skeptical of the narrative being presented. And I'm more intentional about checking in with people I care about, not just through Instagram, but in real life. I call them, I visit them, I ask the hard questions. I also became more conscious of what I post. I started sharing real moments, not just perfect ones. I posted photos of me having a bad day. I talked about my struggles, and you know what? Instead of losing followers, I connected more deeply with the people who mattered. Tanya is doing well now. She's still careful about social media, but she uses it differently. She shares her story to help others. She's become an advocate for homelessness awareness. And sometimes, when she's feeling the pressure to present a perfect life, we remind each other of what happened when we tried to live a lie. What this experience taught me is that real friendship isn't about admiring someone's Instagram feed. Real friendship is about seeing the person behind the filters, behind the performance, behind the carefully constructed narrative. Real friendship is about asking the hard questions and being willing to hear the difficult answers. Real friendship is about showing up when life is messy and imperfect and real. In a world obsessed with perfection, authenticity is revolutionary. In a world that demands we curate our lives, vulnerability is powerful. And in a world where so many people are suffering in silence, connection is survival. SEO and discovery optimization. Instagram facade, social media lies. Hidden homelessness, real struggle, authentic friendship, social media deception, mental health awareness, true friendship, emotional storytelling, real-life confessions, personal growth, overcoming shame, vulnerability, social media pressure, hidden truth, unconditional love, supporting friends, life lessons, Reddit stories, Reddit, real stories, bedtime story, dramatic revelation, shocking truth, friendship goals, helping others, homelessness awareness, social media reality, toxic comparison, empowerment journey, inspirational story, human connection, authenticity matters,